How would you go about building a perfect society? I don't mean just a better one. I mean a truly perfect one. Well, today, we're going to go inside the machine. We're taking a tour of a world that is engineered right from the embryo for absolute happiness and stability. Let's see just how they make a brave new world.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with these three words. This is the bedrock of the entire world state. This isn't just some catchy slogan they put on a poster. It's the planetary motto. It's the guiding principle behind every single decision, every policy, every life. Community, identity, stability. Everything we are about to see is designed to achieve these three things. All right, I want you to imagine you're a new student. You're getting a special tour led by the director of hatcheries himself. The year is AF 632, and AF, by the way, stands for After Ford. And we're about to get a rare look inside the place where all life begins, the Central London Hatchery and Conditioning Center. Let's head on in. So, first stop on the production line is the fertilizing room. This is where human manufacturing begins. I want you to forget everything you think you know about birth. In here, life is an industrial process, controlled and perfected from the very first moment. The process itself is incredibly precise. It all starts with surgically removed ovaries. This is a so-called voluntary act for the good of society, and it comes with a nice hefty bonus, of course. The eggs are then fertilized. Now, while the highest castes, your alphas and betas, get to incubate normally, the lower castes, the gammas, deltas, and epsilons, they're headed for something else entirely, a little something called Bokanovsky's process. So, what is this cornerstone of their society? Well, Bokanovsky's process is basically a series of controlled arrests of development. An egg is hit with X-rays, it's chilled, it's dosed with alcohol, all to force it to bud and multiply over and over again. You see, the old way, one egg, one adult, that's just terribly inefficient. This new way can turn a single egg into as many as 96 identical human beings. And that's the official line. They don't see this as unnatural or creepy at all. No, to them, it's a prodigious improvement on nature. This right here is what they call progress. It's taking the principles of the factory assembly line and applying them to biology itself. An incredible feat of science, there's no doubt about that. But the purpose behind it all, that's the real secret to their stability. This tour isn't just about the how. In fact, a sharp young student actually dares to ask the director the most important question of all. Why? Exactly. One of the students, who the director kind of thinks is a bit of a fool, pipes up and asks, but where is the advantage? Why go through all this trouble to create dozens and dozens of identical twins? The director's answer is immediate, and it's emphatic. This isn't just some neat science experiment. This biological process is the absolute foundation of social stability. It's not just another tool, it's one of the major instruments. And this is where the genius of it, from their perspective, really shines. Just imagine an entire factory staffed by the products of a single egg. You get standardized people, produced in uniform batches. The director says it with a voice that's almost tremulous with enthusiasm. 96 identical twins working 96 identical machines. For the first time ever, you know exactly where you stand. It's all about predictability, harmony, stability. And the scale of this operation is, well, it's staggering. While 96 is the absolute max, 72 is a pretty good average from a single egg. But the yield per ovary is where the numbers get truly massive. The London Hatchery's record is over 16,000 individuals from just one. And there's even a bit of a rivalry going on. The Mombasa Center has hit over 17,000. Okay, so the bodies are manufactured, the hardware is sorted, but what about the software? What about the minds? Our tour is now leaving the labs and heading up to the infant nurseries, to the neo-Pavlovian conditioning rooms. This is where the real psychological shaping begins. We walk into this bright, sunny room. Nurses are setting out bowls of beautiful roses and opening up colorful picture books on the floor. It looks pleasant. Then, a group of 8-month-old Delta infants, all dressed in identical khaki outfits, are brought in. And, of course, being babies, they immediately start crawling with little gurgles of pleasure right towards the pretty flowers and books. The director just watches. He waits until they're all happily touching the roses in the books, and then he gives a signal.
Suddenly, a violent explosion rips through the air. Sirens start shrieking, alarm bells are clanging. And as the babies scream in pure terror, the floor beneath them is electrified. In an instant, flowers and books become violently, unforgettably linked with pain.
The purpose here is crystal clear. After just 200 repetitions of this little lesson, that connection is unbreakable. These children will be, as they say, safe from books and botany all their lives. They will have a conditioned, what you might call instinctive, hatred of both knowledge and nature. But then, that same curious student asks another question. Why? Hating books, okay, you can kind of see the logic for a lower caste you don't want thinking too much. But why flowers? Why would you condition them against something so simple and beautiful as nature? Well, the director patiently explains the cold, hard economic logic. A love of nature is free. It's gratuitous. It keeps no factories busy. So, you get rid of it. You make the lower classes hate the countryside. But at the same time, you condition them to love what they call country sports. Sports that require tons of expensive, manufactured equipment. So they still go to the country, but now they consume things when they get there. Every single instinct is engineered to drive the economy. But that kind of reflex conditioning is pretty crude, right? It can't instill complex social ideas. For that, our tour moves on to the dormitories, where we'll witness the lessons that are whispered in the dark, hypnopedia, or sleep teaching. You know, sleep teaching was actually discovered by accident. Early on, people realized you couldn't teach facts this way. A kid could repeat the length of the Nile River, but he'd have no idea what a river actually was. But for moral education, for social suggestions, oh, it was perfect. As the director says, moral education ought never, in any circumstances, to be rational. It's all about instilling beliefs, not actual knowledge. And we get to hear it for ourselves. There's a soft voice whispering from underneath the pillows of 80 sleeping children. It's their elementary class consciousness lesson. It's teaching them to love their place in the hierarchy and to have a mild contempt for anyone below them. Betas are glad they're not alphas who work so hard, but they're so much better than those stupid gammas and deltas. So how do you make these whispered suggestions into undeniable, rock-solid truths? Well, they've done the math. A specialist calculated a very specific number. It takes 62,400 repetitions to make one truth. After that, it's not a belief anymore. It's an axiom. It's just the way things are.
And this is the director's triumphant conclusion. The process is total. He explains that these suggestions don't just influence the mind, they become the mind. The adult who grows up to judge, to desire, to make decisions, their entire internal world is built from these suggestions, and the most crucial part, every single one of them is a suggestion from the state.
So you put it all together, and there you have it, the final product. The biological engineering creates the standardized body for the standardized job. The reflex conditioning shapes their basic instincts, and the sleep teaching builds their entire worldview. The result is a perfectly socialized human being, designed from birth to love their destiny and fit seamlessly into the machine. Remember that motto from the very beginning? Community, identity, stability. And you have to admit, this system seems to deliver. But as our little tour comes to an end, a question just kind of hangs in the air. In a world engineered from the ground up to eliminate suffering and guarantee happiness, what is the true price of all that stability? And more importantly, what parts of ourselves are we willing to trade away to get it?